Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&As, and continuing with what I started doing recently, I'm just going to voice these over last week's training footage like I've been doing. It just gives you something different to look at while we do this. So let's go ahead and get started with the first question. Alright. Hey Jason, Jeff Cavaliere made a video the other day about a comment left on one of his videos saying you can't build muscle over the age of 35 without TRT. Jeff completely rubbished that claim. With that in mind, though, is there a specific point in life where this becomes true? I know you get diminished returns as you get older, but I wanted to get your thoughts on the statement the guy made. Thanks. All right, well, here's something to think about. Yes, testosterone is useful for building muscle. Now, when I say useful, notice I didn't use the word important. I did not use the word important because important would imply that it's almost a requirement. It isn't actually a requirement to have any testosterone in your body to build muscle. Yes, it's anabolic. Yes, it helps. But that's like saying, well, trenbolone is really helpful for building muscle. Well, of course it is. But you don't have to have it to build muscle. And if you guys don't believe me, have you ever seen a woman gain muscle? I have. I've seen women join a gym, really skinny women who are way underweight, start lifting weights, and they gain pretty pronounced amounts of muscle, don't they? You don't always see it if they're heavier as easily, but women clearly have the ability to gain muscle. There are women who gain 10 pounds, 15 pounds of muscle over the course of their training career, who never, ever have testosterone levels that approach that of a low test male. So in other words, if your testosterone levels drop low due to age, lifestyle, whatever else, they will still be higher than any woman who is not putting testosterone into their body, yet women still gain muscle. Do they not? It's not even subject to debate. Of course they do. Now, you won't gain it as fast. And you know what? There can also be connective tissue issues, recovery issues, everything else. You will be able to gain muscle at the rate at which you recover. In other words, if it seems to take you 4 days to recover from training at age 45 from a given workout instead of the 2 days that it seemed to take when you were younger in your 20s, then expect your muscle gains to be half. Because in other words, if you can't repeat the same amount of stimulation as often and you have to cut the frequency in half in which you can train really hard, expect to gain muscle at half the rate. But you could still gain muscle. The thing that you need to look at is that over time, if you've gained tremendous amounts of muscle, let's say you put on 25 pounds of muscle training all the way through your 20s, right? For 10 years, 15 years straight. After 35, your testosterone starts to decline. You will struggle to keep all of the muscle that you gained. You may start losing some of it at 40, 45, whatever. It might start to regress a little bit. You might lose a pound of that 25 pounds you gained. Then you might lose another pound of that 25 pounds you gained over the next 5 to 7 years. That's what we're talking about, meaning your natural limit is going to go down. But if a person has slightly low testosterone and they're 50 years old and they walk in the gym and start lifting, they're still going to gain muscle. They're going to have no trouble gaining 9 or 10 pounds of muscle over time over the next year. Why wouldn't they? Of course they can. All right, next question. I have lagging back because I trained incorrectly before going on your program. I know you said it's acceptable to add extra calf work if I have to, but it's acceptable to add 5x5 chin-ups on both days and lat pull-downs on workout B. I need to fix my lagging back as my front is way stronger than my back, and this is affecting my deadlift and squat. All right, brother, I want you to think through what you said. And again, you're on a novice program. You're still a noob, so I understand. Noobs and tons of people, even in the bodybuilding world, seem to think that if you throw enormous, mind-boggling amounts of volume at a body part, that that's going to magically make it grow. You know what? It won't. It won't. I already have written a program that will absolutely tax your recovery to its limits. All right, about 1 in 4 people cannot even handle the volume in the novice program already. That is the #1 complaint that I get about the program from about 1/4 of people, that they can't handle the amount of work you do in it. So you're talking about adding at least 5 more sets for your back, which is a big muscle, to every single workout, to a program that 1 in 4 people can't even handle the amount of work in it without reaching an overtrained state and stalling. Why would you do that? Do you honestly think adding 5 sets is going to double your muscle growth? It will never double your muscle growth. In fact, if you're doing only 1 set for your back and you added another 5x5 to it, it might only increase the amount of muscle you gain 10-20%. if you're only doing one set. Now, I have people doing 15 sets of rows every week spread out over 3 workouts, doing a deadlift every other workout, a heavy deadlift, doing chin-ups every other workout when they don't deadlift. What makes you think you can add 15, 20 more sets for your back a week to this? It's absurd. It's absurd thinking. You're going to overtrain. If you have a lagging body part and you have a balanced program like that, and you really are concerned with catching up your weak links, and stop progressing on the other stuff. In other words, this program can't handle any more work. You can't add to it. If anything, some people need to take stuff out. So here's what I would suggest. If all your pressing strength and everything else is where you want it to be, stop progressing. Stop adding weight to the bar on your bench press and your overhead pressing. Stop adding weight to the bar. Let those sit where they are for the next 2 or 3 months and continue to progress on the back stuff. Your problem will be solved. Easy as that. All right, next question. What's 1 or 2 simple progression methods for major barbell lifts that an intermediate or above could use? This could help a lot of people get back on track. All right, I had to laugh. Someone said under there, you should look into DUP, which is daily undulating periodization. If you're looking for simple, DUP is the least simple protocol you could follow. Simple method I proposed 2. 1, standard block linear periodization. I have multiple programs. I have a program for intermediates, an off-season program that uses that. It's in my playlist already. There you go, linear block periodization. The other thing you could do is the other simple old school method that I prescribed of doing your sets with 5 reps with a weight that you can handle 5 reps without grinding or failure. When you're able to, go to 6 reps. It might take you a month. It might take you 2 months if you're advanced. When you're strong enough to do 6 rep sets, go to 7 rep sets. When the 7 rep sets get easy, go to 8 rep sets. All the way till you get to 10 reps, then add weight and reduce it back down to 5s and repeat the process. You could do this for years as an intermediate or advanced, and that will work. It might not work as fast as a periodization protocol. You might gain 10% less muscle and strength per year, but it's simple, it's easy, and it's very straightforward to track. So that's the 2 choices I would recommend to you. All right, next question. Does workout length matter if I'm still progressing on my program? I work a manual labor job. After work, exercising isn't the most appealing to me, but I still get my workouts in. With that said, when I work out, I try to complete my workouts in the shortest amount of time. I run one of your full body programs during my workouts. I try to rest as little as possible. That way I can bang out my sets and leave in roughly 30 minutes. If I continue to progress, is this okay? Workout length matters in the sense of if you're getting through a workout so fast that you can't lift heavier weight on later sets in an exercise because you're not getting enough rest time, then yeah, you'll gain less muscle. It doesn't mean you won't make gains. But we know from all the available studies done on this now, as of the last few years, that shortening rest times reduces gains if it makes you use less weight. In other words, if you can't do 200 pounds for 8 reps, like you could with a 3 or 4 minute break, if you have to drop it down to 180 to do 8 reps because of short breaks, then you gain less muscle from it. You still stimulate muscle growth, but you gain less. What I would suggest for you, if you want to get in and out faster, you already have a manual labor job, so you already get a fair amount of volume thrown in. Reduce total sets so that you can keep the tension heavier on each set that you do. That's what I would recommend. That will induce the least fatigue for you to have to recover from with a manual labor job, and it will still stimulate probably slightly better muscle growth and definitely better strength gains than just getting out of the gym quickly by reducing rest times. I would reduce sets so that you could rest a little longer and get 3 minutes between all your work sets. That's what I would personally recommend. That's what I would advise you to do. All right, next question. Would doing 1 amrap set of bodyweight chin-ups during off days interfere with my recovery? I do full body 3 times a week where I also do heavy weighted chin-ups, but I have a pull-up bar at home and I sometimes have urgency to do them when I see it. Not to mention, it would literally take less than a minute. I'm an intermediate lifter and I can do almost 20 bodyweight chin-ups. Would I ever recommend people do amrap sets on any exercise that involves big muscles on a really high frequency? Absolutely not, because amrap means as many as you can. Now, I'm cool with chin-ups every day. In fact, I think doing chin-ups every day with methods like greasing the groove is actually really effective. You could probably do that just fine with the training that you're doing and get the most benefit out of it, but you are far more likely to overreach more quickly and interfere with your overall progress and gains if you're doing as many as possible, particularly if you're strong enough to do like 20 chin-ups already. That's a lot of workload. You know what I would cut down to do? If you could do 20, I would cut down and do a couple sets of 10 spread out, maybe even 3 sets of 10 throughout the day on your off days, so that you do 30 total without taking anything close to failure, as many as possible. And again, it's mainly just a recovery issue. You need to remember amrap sets are something that should be used sparingly, particularly for big exercises that involve large muscle groups. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.